live now.
So I call the Town of Stanford Planning Board meeting to order on the evening of June 24th, 2020. And this meeting is convened pursuant to the Governor's March 13th, 2020 Executive Order 202.1, which suspended certain provisions of the open meeting laws to allow a municipal board to convene a meeting via video conferencing. In accordance with the executive order, the public will be able to view the meeting on the Town of Stanford website, hopefully, and or review the minutes of the meetings posted on the town's website. The meeting is being live streamed on YouTube. So the first order of business tonight are a series of public hearings. And I believe the first hearing tonight is for the Millbrook School Master Plan. Is there a motion to open the public hearing? So Patrick Hancock makes the motion. Is there a second?
Yeah, a second.
Jim Fouts seconds it. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Okay, the public hearing for the Millbrook School Master Plan is now open. Are there any members of the public who wish to address this issue? I did get one letter from excuse me one second, I'll be right back.
What happened?
So I got one letter from the Duchess Land Conservancy, but that's none of that. I got a letter from the DEC on the Millbrook School Master Plan. This is a letter dated, I received it, I can't see that, on June 18th. And it says the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation has reviewed the State Environmental Quality Review Notice of Intent to serve as lead agency submitted by the Town of Stanford Planning Board for the above referenced project. According to the submitted information, this project involves amending the Millbrook School Master Plan. No individual construction activities are included in this proposal. The DEC has no objection to the Town of Stanford serving as lead agency for this project. Based upon a review of your inquiry received by this office on May 5th, 2020, the department offers the following comments. Protection of waters. The following streams are located within or near the site you indicated, and they have two that they mention are tributaries of the Wasatch Creek, and they have a DEC water index number of 15-11-5-1 and 15-11-5-1-1. A protection of waters permit is required to physically disturb the bed or banks up to 50 feet from stream of any streams identified above as protected. A time restriction may be required for protection of cold water trout fisheries. Waters classified under Article 15 of the Environmental Conservation Law with a T or TS designation beginning October 1 and ending April 30th. If a permit is not required, please note, however, you are still responsible for ensuring that work shall not pollute any stream or water body. Care shall be taken to stabilize any disturbed areas promptly after construction, and all necessary precautions shall be taken to prevent contamination of the stream or water body by silt, sediment, fuels, solvents, lubricants, or any other pollutant associated with a project. Freshwater wetlands. Your project is near or in freshwater wetlands AM-6 and AM-31, Class 2 and Class 1, respectively. A freshwater wetlands permit is required for any physical disturbance within these boundaries or within the 100-foot adjacent areas. To have the boundaries delineated, please contact Sarah Paliksic Bureau of Ecosystem Health. Water quality certification. The project site appears to contain federally regulated wetland areas. If the United States Army Corps of Engineers requires a permit for work completed in or impacting a federal wetland or waters of the U.S., you will need a Section 401 water quality certification from the department. Please contact ACOE, and there's a telephone number there. State listed species. The DEC has reviewed the state's natural heritage records. We have determined that the site is located within or near records of the following state listed species: bog turtle and its endangered status. The project location is within the screening distance of known bog turtle records. A permit is required for the incidental taking of any species identified as endangered or threatened, which can include the removal of habitat. The submitted project documents relate only to the amending of the master plan. No construction or development activities have been proposed at this time. Please note that individual construction or development projects will require assessments of impact to habitat individuals, as well as specific take avoidance measures. Impacts to the species and potential suitable habitat should be assessed following the attached bog turtle conservation zone guidance document. If project-related impacts cannot be fully avoided or minimized, an incidental taking permit pursuant to Article 11, Title 5, Endangered and Threatened Species may be required. Please note that a project sponsor may not commence site preparation, including tree clearing, until the provisions of SEQR are complied with and all necessary permits are issued for the proposed project. For technical reasons regarding the species and their associated avoidance and mitigation measures, please contact Sue Booth-Binsick. The absence of data does not necessarily mean that other rare or state-listed species, natural communities, or other significant habitats do not exist on or adjacent to the proposed site. Rather, our files currently do not contain information which indicates their presence. For most sites, comprehensive field studies have not been concluded. We cannot provide a definitive statement on the presence or absence of all rare or state-listed species or significant natural communities. Depending on the nature of the project and the conditions at the project site, further information from on-site surveys or other sources may be required to fully assess impacts on biological resources. State Pollution Discharge Elimination System, SPEDIES construction. Construction activities are not indicated in the project narrative. Please note, if a project is proposed which will disturb over 1 acre of land, the project sponsor must obtain coverage under the current SPEDIES and develop a stormwater pollution prevention plan that conforms to requirements of the general permit. Dams. The Millbrook School Dam, DEC Dam ID number 229-0920, hazard code A, is located on site. Please note that all dams are subject to compliance with 6 NYCRR Part 973 dam safety regulations. Modifications to this dam may require a protection of waters dams permit. Other permits from this department or other agencies may be required for a project conducted on this property now or in the future. Also, regulations applicable to the location subject to this determination occasionally are revised, and the project sponsor should therefore verify the need for permits if your project is delayed or postponed. This determination regarding the need for permits will remain effective for a maximum 1 year. More information about DEC permits may be found on our website. And then it says, please contact this office if you have any questions regarding the above information. Signed by Christina Pacella, Division of Environmental Permits. Any other comments for the public hearing? Hearing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Public hearing is closed. We have a second public hearing scheduled tonight for the Edward Dean Leonard lot line adjustment, and the presenter is Lyndon Chase. So is there a motion to open the public hearing on the Edward Dean Leonard lot line adjustment?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Is there anyone from the public who would like to have a presentation on the Edward Dean Leonard lot line adjustment at 157 Conklin Hill Road in Stanfordville?
The only name on here that I don't recognize is Andrew Fu. So I think that's the only person that might be from the public.
Okay.
He's actually from our office. He's just listening in.
Okay, perfect then.
All right. Hearing no one having make a comment on this application, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
There certainly is.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. The third public hearing tonight is A Lot of Land LLC, Brian Houston, lot line change. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So I have one written submission on this proposal from Dutchess Land Conservancy. And it's dated today's date. And it says, Dear Chairman Angel and members of the Planning Board, as you know, the Dutchess Land Conservancy holds a conservation easement on a significant portion of the land owned by A Lot of Land LLC. We have just learned this week that Ms. El Haddad and Mr. Lott are seeking Planning Board approval for a lot line change. We would like to bring to your attention two concerns and request your assistance in addressing them. First, the DLC is concerned that the proposed new building envelope 2, which lies within the land subject to the conservation easement held by the DLC, could be misinterpreted to permit the construction of a principal residence, which is not allowed by the conservation easement. Under the terms of the conservation easement, a tenant house or guest house associated with a principal residence is allowed, but the principal residence with which it is associated cannot be located on any portion of the property restricted by the conservation easement. 2, if a tenant house or guest house is to be built in the new building envelope 2, the conservation easement requires that it be not more than 50% of the floor size of the principal residence with which it is associated. This means that the tenant or guest house may not be built in new building envelope 2 until a principal residence has been built in new building envelope 1, so the DLC can determine whether it complies with the 50% floor size restriction. Therefore, to ensure that all parties are fully aware of how the conservation easement restricts new building envelope 2, the DLC requests that the building envelope notes be revised to read as follows. The new building envelope 2 shown here on is restricted by a conservation easement in favor of Dutchess Land Conservancy, Inc., described in Lieber 1856 of deeds at page 874. Said conservation easement provides inter alia that A, no principal residence is permitted within the new building envelope number 2, B, one tenant house or guest house is permitted within new building envelope 2, provided that it is associated with a principal residence. C, the principal residence with which the tenant house or guest house is associated may not be constructed on land that is restricted by the conservation easement. Therefore, the principal residence with which said tenant or guest house is associated must be constructed only within new building envelope 1, which is not restricted by the conservation easement. D, the tenant house or guest house may not be more than 50% of the size of the principal residence. The principal residence must be constructed before the tenant house or guest house. Thank you very much for your consideration. Please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any questions. Sincerely, Rebecca Thornton, President. Any other comments on the A Lot of Land LLC, Brian Houston lot line change? 655 Bengal Road, Armenia, New York. Hearing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
I have something to say, Tom.
Okay, go ahead.
We're going to request to keep the public hearing open.
Okay.
And when we go through regular business, we'll go through the reason for that. All right. So
Okay.
that's our request for tonight.
All right. So, Molly, I neglected to ask you on all these public hearings, have we gotten proper notification that the proper notices have been issued?
Yes,
On all three?
yes. I've done it. They've either done it by, PDF or mail, but yes, PDF, yes. That's what I found it.
So the legal notices were filed.
Yep, yes.
All right. So since there's no motion to close the public hearing, we will continue with our business and keep the public hearing open to our next meeting on the Allotted Land LLC lot line change. And I guess our next meeting is July
29th, 2020.
Yep, 2020. Okay, going on to business. Our first.
Tom, can I interrupt you?
Sure.
On this this approval, how do I get the map signed? Because I've got to have you sign.
Lyndon, we're going to get to you in a little bit.
Oh, all right.
Right, we'll get to you on the once we get into the business part of our agenda. Our agenda is divided into public hearing and then the business. So we've completed the public hearing and now we're going to go into business. And the first item on the agenda under business is the Deborah Dillinger lot line adjustment. And the presenter is Deborah Dillinger.
May I say just a word?
Yes.
The ZBA had a meeting and they will be having a hearing on the variance on July 8th, 2020. They already went ahead and did a variance, but the hearing is on July 8th.
Okay, well, they tentatively approved the variance, but they haven't actually approved it yet because they haven't had their public hearing. But Deborah, remind us when you were last in front of the planning board.
Oh my. When was that, Molly? It's been such a long time. I would have to go and look that up because I really don't remember. It was
probably about 3 months ago.
Excuse me?
It was probably about 3 months ago.
Yes, that's what I was going to say before we had the issue with the coronavirus. So.
Right. So since then, Deborah, we've had one new board member, Patrick Hancock, join us.
Okay.
So why don't you briefly review your application?
Okay. I am seeking a lot line adjustment. On the north side of my house, I only own 3 feet from the edge of the house to the north. So there's my mother's property is right next door, which I have used for many, many years to be able to park alongside of the house and to also go up a very steep grade. That's how I could access to where my well is. So I'm trying to rectify that situation so I can make access to the well and to provide some parking beside the house because there is nothing available there. Is that enough?
That's fine. Now, since our prior meeting, you had to go to the ZBA to get a variance because your lots are too small and the setbacks aren't correct. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you had an initial meeting with the ZBA.
Mm-hmm.
And the ZBA gave you tentative approval, but scheduled it for a public hearing.
Correct.
So you're requesting that we go ahead and schedule a public hearing for the minor subdivision lot line adjustment. Is that correct?
Correct.
And that's the action that you're requesting us to take tonight.
Correct.
Okay. So I think, Ryan, you told us that we don't need to do seeker on lot line changes. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a type 2 action.
All right. So, given that it's a type 2 action, do we have a motion to schedule a public hearing for the Deborah Dillinger lot line alteration minor subdivision for July 29th at 7:30 p.m.?
Yes, so moved.
All right, so Jim Fouts made the motion, Patrick Hancock seconded. Further discussion on the motion?
Just a question. Since I am not, as you say, I'm the new guy. What road is this on?
That's,
Huns Lake?
yeah, 171 West Huns
West
Lake.
Huns Lake, right?
171. Okay.
Make sure it's West Huns Lake because there's another 171 on the road.
Okay.
So you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any other discussion on the motion?
Is that the White House up on the knoll?
No.
No. Okay.
Any further discussion on the motion?
No.
All right, hearing none. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Now, Deborah, you're going to have to talk to Ryan and Molly and get the language for your notice that you have to publish in the newspaper.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, who does she need?
And,
Who does she need to send that to, Tom?
Poughkeepsie Journal is fine.
Just the Journal is fine, right? No property owners.
I think the town has other newspapers that are considered official newspapers. Don't they, Molly?
Actually, we just require the Poughkeepsie Journal.
Okay. And Wendy Burton's town supervisor, are we expecting to still be doing remote meetings in July?
No, I think in July we'll be able to have meetings. The limit on people will be 25, but we'll be able to have them probably downstairs in the gym would be wiser than having them in the meeting room because we can spread people out more.
Okay, so I guess we will not have to do a remote meeting in July. So that means we can you can use the regular notice, Molly. And Deborah, Molly will provide you with the notice that you need to publish in the newspaper. You do not have to provide notices to your neighbors, just in the newspaper.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
That's the notice. That's the notice that you have that we discussed today or yesterday.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
That's provided that there isn't a big spike and we don't have to shut back down again.
Great. Great. That's fine.
All right, so we'll assume we're going to be meeting in the town hall in July. Do you have any further questions, Deborah?
No, I don't think so. I'm good.
All right, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, but there's no requirement that you do so.
Well, everybody have a good night. Thank you.
Night.
Thank you. Okay, so mute.
Hey,
All
Tom.
right, so the next matter on the agenda.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
Sorry to interrupt. I talked with Molly earlier. The Millbrook master plan, I noticed, wasn't on the business portion of the agenda. I'm not sure where you want to slide that in.
All right, we'll get to that after this next one, okay?
Perfect.
So the next matter on the agenda is a special permit request by Arter Walther, and I'm not sure who's here to present that. All right.
That will be me. I'm Florian Eidenberg. I'm the owner of the architecture firm that was asked to represent him in this matter. Also, here's Joe Stout, who's the project architect on the project. So Mr. Walter has an existing home where he lives, and he asked us to design a house. And what we're asking is to get your approval to convert his existing home into a guest cottage. And also we're asking you to review the environmental assessment form, and then hopefully get a negative declaration on the SECRA review. Just for people to locate where we are, it's the property right behind the Millbrook vineyards. It's about 99 acres. And so Mr. Walter was in front of you or before you in 2015 when he sought permission to have an existing shed actually turned into a guest house, but he decided not to act on that. He brought us in 2018 to design a new home, and now the question is if his existing home can be turned into a guest cottage. The land, it's mostly fields, some rocks, some trees. There's no work done on the land, so it will remain as is. And also there's no plan to do any work on the existing house, which is in the next image, which basically is it's a Dutch colonial farmhouse from 1835. Mr. Walter has been there since 1994. And so the main question is if we can turn this into his guest house as we construct the new home. The house itself is along Hammond Road, but so we're not doing anything to it, basically. The house we're proposing is much further pushed back, and you won't see from the road. So you're at the bottom of the screen. You can just see the road, and it's
Lauren, you're breaking up. Can the rest of you hear him, or?
No.
Okay. He might have to dial back in. I can jump in until he gets back on. Yeah, so here at the bottom you see Hammond Road. That's the existing house, and then that's the new house we're proposing. The existing house is 2,400 square feet. The new one will be around 4,000. And then here you see the survey. The blue dot is the existing house. The red dot is the location for the new house, and the gray dot is where the septic system is being planned. And then the green dot is this barn that was moved to this location, and Mr. Walter is using it as a yoga barn right now. And then here you can see the setbacks. The blue one is again the existing house. To avoid any negative impact on the neighborhood and the surroundings, we moved the new house back by about 250 feet from the road, so it can barely be seen from the road. And it's also about 250, 270 feet from the neighboring lot line. And then again, down here is the septic system.
So the septic system that you're showing is for the proposed house?
It would be combined for both of them. Yeah. And that has already been submitted to the health department by the civil engineer. And that is part of the reason why we're presenting this tonight, is because the health department is asking either for a negative declaration on the SECRA review, or for preliminary planning board approval to proceed with their review of the septic system. So basically, what we're asking for is two things. One is in the long range, the approval of the planning board approval for the project, and because we would like to proceed with the health department, it would be great to be able to get the negative declaration.
So you've already done all the deep tests and engineering for the septic system in that area?
Exactly, that's all been done, yeah.
One of those topo maps that you showed, it looked like there was a lot of contour lines near the house. And this one here seems kind of gentle and another one close. This.
Sorry, I was I'm back here. Apologies.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jim,
Fine,
you were saying-
I went ahead and presented the rest of the slides. So right now we were briefly talking about the fact that there is an ongoing septic system approval with the health department. And the question right now was on the topography.
Okay.
I have a question about the small, we'll call it cottage behind the existing house. Is that still in play?
The one that he was planning on building into a guest house, right?
Yeah, it sits about within 100 yards of the existing house now.
Yeah,
I would say
so that's
west of it.
Yeah, he has moved that. So that was basically right pretty much where the house is. It's just a little bit south of where we have located the existing, the proposed new house. And he has put it somewhere else on the land. And he's basically using it now as a yoga studio, but it is not connected to anything, water or electricity or what have you. So it sits there on where the green spot is that Joe is showing now.
You're talking about the place that had a bathroom and a kitchenette in it.
Right, that was the case at the time.
There was a bath in it, yes, but he basically... Go ahead, Joe.
He has since converted that into a yoga studio, so it's no longer connected to any utilities and doesn't have a bedroom or a bathroom or a shower in it.
Okay.
So we don't have any sort of code violations having that second structure there like that?
So I talked to Bob Butts today, who's the town attorney, about this issue. The problem with the application is that we have previously approved this other structure as the guest house. So there needs to be some affirmative documentation that prior approval is being revoked in order to grant a new approval for a different guest cottage. So I don't know if the applicant has any ideas on how to accomplish that. Mr. Walters did come down to my office today, and I did speak to him. One other concept that he was brought up was potentially subdividing the property and putting that other house on the other lot. And I said that if he was going to do that, he would need to do some sort of engineering for a septic system for that particular house. So I'm not quite sure how the applicant wants to proceed.
I think
we're going to need some sort of affirmative documentation that the prior guest cottage is been decommissioned and will not be recommissioned, and it has to be in some format so that it's legally enforceable.
Right. So I think our client currently has no intention of making that structure a dwelling, right? So he would prefer to proceed with some kind of assessment that states that it doesn't have a bath or kitchen and is not connected to any utilities. So the question would be if the town has an assessor who could do that, or if our client would have to hire someone who could do that assessment.
Well, it's possible that the building inspector could go and inspect the property, but the problem from the planning board's point of view is that, while we take the current applicant at his word in good faith, if he were to sell the property, what kind of protection is there for the town that the new owner would have the same sort of attitude towards it? So that's why we need to have some sort of affirmative documentation provided to the town that's legally enforceable, revoking the prior guest cottage special permit in order to grant a new one. So I think...
So you need something that says that thing's not going to get used as a house.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay, I think that's that should be doable, and Mr. Walther certainly has no objections to that. So the question would just be how we do that.
Yeah, and I think the thing I'm thinking about is that it would be recorded in the county clerk's office, so that it would be a matter of record for anybody, purchasing the property in the future. So I think you might have to consult with an attorney as to how best to structure that.
Okay.
The other thing I was wondering, I know that you presented to the planning or to us the elevations on the new house. Do you have that available to go over tonight?
Yeah.
Yes, I can skip over to those.
So the house is one-story building. Basically, interior is 9 foot 8 feet clear, and then there's a roof, which averages about 2 feet thickness. So we are, just under 12 feet total. And so it sits there just west of the existing house, but you can't see from the road, with a view towards the west, sort of to the the sunset, if you want.
So
I guess maybe one thing to add to that is that we did have a geotechnical report performed, and that confirmed that it's all solid, sits on solid bedrock.
Any questions from planning board members on the new house issue? Anyone might come up with that?
No, I don't have any questions.
Joe, when we spoke earlier, I had asked if you had done any research on the large glass exposure and the potential problems with birds.
Right. Yeah. So we thought about that while we were designing the house, and that's one of the reasons why we have these large overhangs on the house. And we talked to someone who has experience with birds, and that is one of the strategies that are recommended, to basically not have the glass on the very first perimeter of the house, but if you recess it, then the outline of the roof indicates to the birds where the building begins. I was looking at let's see where this is. This is the from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service and their recommendations for reducing bird collisions, and they also have that in their recommendations where. Let me just skip to that page. Yeah. Here they say building designers can use features such as overhangs, charters, louvers, mesh awnings to reduce glass reflections or reduce visibility into transparent areas.
And what type of glass are you proposing for the windows in there?
Florian, you're muted.
It's a laminated IGU with low energy code. So it will actually have a little bit more reflectivity than it shows here. It will be a little bit less transparent. It's we're probably going to be working with a company near Albany called Case. They manufacture the windows there. There's 2 sliding doors. There's still turn for natural ventilation. Yeah, and then there's a frame, basically a steel frame around the windows.
So if it's going to be a little bit more mirror-like, is that going to impact the bird situation?
I think the idea of it being darker is actually what we found in that research. So yeah, go ahead.
It's not highly reflective or mirrored. I think for birds, basically there are 2 issues that birds that confuses birds. One is when it's absolutely transparent, so they can't see it at all, or it's highly reflective and completely mirrors what's behind it. That's sort of what you see with office buildings sometimes, right? And the glass we specified is basically in between. It's neither highly reflective nor completely transparent.
Any other questions by planning board members? Okay, so I noticed that there was a reference to a referral pursuant to 39M. Could you tell us why you're requesting that?
Sorry, I'll just quickly go back to that page here. It's because it's on the county line, right?
The county line or the town line?
If I'm not mistaken, it's the county line, right?
No.
If we got a county line there, we're in trouble.
Straddles Stanford and Washington, doesn't it?
Right.
Yeah.
Town line, right?
Does that require referral to 239 for the county planning department, or is that, I mean, normally we give it to the town of Washington. Do you recall, Jim, Mary, Ryan?
I know we should give it to Washington. 239M, I thought
it was a county road.
And is that a county road out in front there?
So is this a site plan approval or is this a special use permit?
It's a special use permit.
Then I think it has to go to county planning board.
Go back to the map.
Special use permit. If you want to send it to town of Washington, you can, but I'm pretty sure that would just be a courtesy.
Sure. Thank you.
So and the reason why it has to go to the county planning department, Ryan?
I believe any special use permit has to. If it's within, if the project is within 500 feet, or if a property line abuts the border.
Okay. Now, normally we would make that referral prior to doing the seeker review. Wouldn't we?
That would make sense.
Yeah, you could.
What's the normal practice?
Well, for Millbrook, I believe you kind of did it all at once, along with the intent to be lead agency, if I'm not mistaken. So I think you could refer it to them, say tomorrow.
What's the time period like here in the building process?
So we we submitted to the health department earlier this year, not knowing that they were going to ask for the planning board approval or the negative declaration. And then after their review, we found out that they asking for that. So ideally, that could proceed as quickly as possible because we are getting close to being ready to start construction. So the longer we have to wait, the more it'll delay the project and the contractor. But and our understanding was that that's the way it had been communicated to us by the building inspector, that we will not need planning board approval until completion of project, just to get the CFO, and that we do not need it for the building permit per se, except for now we understand that we need it for the health department.
So normally they wouldn't be able to issue a building permit until we issue the special permit for the guest cottage. So how does the board wish to proceed tonight? Do you want to do seeker and make the referral to county planning and with a copy to town of Washington, or do you want to wait till we hear from county planning in town of Washington before we move forward? How would the board like to proceed tonight?
Well, normally this would be a pretty cut and dry process. I'm a little interested in, and I don't even know if it's in our purview to talk about the construction of this building. I don't even think that's ours, but I think we certainly have to address the other issue about rescinding the special permit for the other structure. But it'd be interesting to see what county says about this structure, but I don't know if we have much to say.
So what is your proposal about how we proceed?
Well, normally I would suggest that we send this out and wait for a response back. But if there is a, if there's wolves at the door here, we should probably do the neg deck. Can we go back in, Ryan? And if something comes to light that we didn't think about during the process, can we reopen it?
That's a good question. I've never seen it done. It doesn't mean it's not possible. Let me see if I can find something quick.
I just wanted to say that the process when we go before the county will take a minimum of 30 days, if that's helpful.
Yeah, we're not going to take any final action until the next meeting.
What would be ideal for us if there could be a way to basically have these two things proceed in parallel. If we could get the neg deck today to then take that to the health department, and in parallel we pursue the planning board approval, understanding that we will ultimately need the planning board approval.
Can we do a conditional neg deck?
Well, we're not going to. That's a question for the health department.
I think if it's an unlisted action, you can do a conditional declaration.
Would it be possible to get a conditional planning board approval? Basically stating that this is a permitted use on the property?
We can't do that. We can't do that tonight. We have to schedule a public hearing first.
Even for a preliminary?
Yes. There's no provision for that.
Right. So I guess the only thing that could potentially work is the neg deck, right?
If we can do a conditioned neg deck, then I wouldn't have a problem with that. What does everybody else think?
What would the condition be?
Has a full EAF been prepared?
The short form, right?
I have it. It's in the documents that were provided to us.
Yeah, I don't know if you can see it on the screen here.
Okay, so you did a short form.
Yeah.
I do think to do a conditioned approval, you need to do a full form. And
Jim,
it needs to be
what
listed
conditions
as,
are
it
you?
needs to be unlisted.
What conditions are you concerned about?
Well, I wouldn't know what's going to come back from the county. You know, it could be, local concern, or it could be something else. I don't know.
All right, so why don't we make a motion to refer this to the county planning department under General Municipal Law 239M? Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
No.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
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 So what we're going to need the applicant to do is to provide us with a legally enforceable document revoking the prior granting of the guest cottage for our next meeting, July 29th. And we will take up the project at that time. And I think we should be able to give it, unless we hear something otherwise from the planning department, we should be able to do what you want that night. But we're kind of in a situation where, there are some loose ends that still need to be tied up before we can move forward.
Okay, so that means you cannot grant the negative declaration today.
What our consultant was saying is because you provide us with a short environmental assessment form, we can't do a conditional approval tonight.
And we can't issue a full environmental assessment.
We're going to wait until we hear from the the county planning board on that.
Okay.
Can we schedule a public hearing with the idea that next month we'll have all these ducks in a row?
We could do that.
Yeah, that's a good
That would
idea.
be great.
So moved.
All right.
Second.
All right. So all in favor of scheduling a public hearing on this application for our July 29th meeting, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye.
All right. So
Okay.
Molly will tell you the type of notice that you have to publish. I think on special permits, you have to send out notification to neighbors. Is that correct, Molly? Molly?
Yes, you would. And I am going to be, this coming Tuesday is when I come in to the town of Stanford, and I will send out the county, and I will also send out the mailing to you and the instructions for that.
So it sounds like if we get the document regarding the prior approval for the guest cottage, and we should be able to tie everything up for you the next meeting.
Okay.
If that's the case, there'll be no need for a full form, because at the next meeting, you can proceed with a short form.
Correct. I just had one more question. Are there any covenants or restrictions on the property?
Not that we are aware of.
So we're anticipating a response from the county by our next meeting.
They have 30 days.
Good.
They will respond, when I mail it into them, they will respond within 30 days. And I say, please get it to the planning board before the next meeting, which is July 29th.
Okay, anything further on this application?
So just to understand, that would mean that during the public hearing in a month on the 29th, we would then get full planning board approval if everything goes according to plan?
Right, but you need to provide us some legally enforceable document revoking the prior granting of a guest cottage.
Understood. And then we would take that planning board approval to the health department and proceed with them that way.
You should have everything. If everything goes smoothly, you should have everything you need after the next meeting.
Great.
Okay. Just one last question. In case there are any hiccups, is there any with the planning board application for the next meeting? Is there a plan B just so we can somehow proceed with the health department?
I don't. You'd have to tell us what problem you're expecting for us to respond.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm just asking whether it would make sense to file the long form EAF, since that seemed to have been a roadblock today.
You're welcome to. I don't know that it's necessary right now. We don't see that it's necessary, but if you want to, I mean,
and that's only for a conditional neg deck also, but I guess that would be something that the health department would be able to use, you're saying.
We could ask them whether that suffices for them, and then just have that as a backup plan in case there are any.
I mean, did they tell you they're in the final stage here and they're ready to approve? They're just waiting for us?
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah, because they've already had it for many months now. And our civil engineer has basically responded to all of their questions and is now just waiting for this.
Anything further on this application?
Yeah, Molly, could you send that to the county tomorrow so that we don't delay anymore?
Unfortunately, I work on Tuesday and Wednesday. So therefore I could send it in on Tuesday. It's always come in before the planning board meeting.
You can't send that from home?
I don't have it at home. I would have to go to the town hall.
Can I send it to you and then you can forward it to them?
I need the form for the actual 239M. I don't have that form. And then I would have to send them everything that I mailed out to the planning board, and that is in the office.
If the applicant wants to get all the necessary documents to me, I'll make sure it gets mailed out tomorrow.
What's that form we need?
239 that you're requesting.
But even if it goes out Tuesday, it should still be fine, right? That's
yes,
29 days.
I've always done it on Tuesday. It has come back prior to
it
the.
Should be okay because it's still be within 30 days.
Okay, great. Let's do that.
And I can also request that they do that before the meeting if they could. I know the woman who is their engineer, and we have a relationship, so I might be able to get it, like in 2 or 3 weeks.
Great, we appreciate that.
And I'd give her a call. I have her on my.
Thank you.
Anything else on this application?
No.
Okay, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next month in person.
Great.
Okay, thank you. So on to Millbrook School master plan.
Hi, Tom. This is Ken from LRC. Do you, at this point, I think you have everything the boards need to proceed. We've made a presentation the last month or so. Nothing has changed since that time. We were just going through some of the process, and here we are.
All right, Ryan, you sent out some documents right before the meeting. Why don't you go over those with us?
Yep. So I sent out. Pull it up here.
Just, Brian, just for future reference, if documents like this could be sent out a little bit earlier in the day, it gives us a chance to review them before the
Absolutely. I apologize for that. So yeah, I sent out the part 2 form. The board typically reads through that.
Do you have that, Jim? You're muted, Jim.
So I have the document here. What do we need to do with this, Ryan? Do we need to go through every question, or we don't have a resolution, or we do?
So I put together a draft resolution and draft part 2 and 3, as well as a part 3 addendum that kind of gives an in-depth description on anything in question. So if you want to read through it, and the board can make their decision as to, whether or not there will be any impacts.
So I'm looking at 10 pages here. Do we need to read through 10 pages of stuff?
You're looking at the part 2 form?
Hang on. Yes.
So if you read like the big headers on the questions, if there's a check for yes, then you can read the sub questions and make sure everyone's in agreement. If the big question is checked no, then you do not have to read the rest of that.
Okay. So should we just start going down through here, Tom?
Go ahead.
All right. I hope I'm going to make it. This is the full EAF part 2, identification of potential project impacts to be completed by the lead agency. Number 1 is impact on land. Proposed action may involve construction on or physical alteration of the land surface in the proposed site. And that is checked yes. And then I'll go down through the 8 items underneath that. The proposed action may involve construction on land where the depth to water table is less than 3 feet. It says no or small impact. The proposed action may involve construction on slopes of 15% or greater. That is also a no or small impact. The proposed action may involve construction on land where bedrock is exposed or generally within 5 feet. This is also no. The proposed action may involve the excavation and removal of more than 1,000 tons of natural material. No. The proposed action may involve construction that continues for more than 1 year or in multiple phases. Now this is marked no. Is that the answer we want to have there, Ken?
Sorry, I had to unmute. There is possibility that some of this goes in phases and could go over a year of construction.
But it is still, it could still be checked no or small impact may occur.
Correct.
Okay, that's fine. The proposed action may result in an increased erosion, whether from physical disturbance or vegetation removal, including from treatment by herbicides. None of that is planned for any of these actions, Ken?
No.
Okay. And you guys will abide by the concerns or the items identified in the DEC letter?
Correct. And all of those items would be addressed during the individual specific review as well.
Correct. The proposed action is or may be located within a coastal erosion hazard area. Well, not now. So the answer there is no. Other impacts is blank. Impact on geological features. The box is checked no. And that essentially says the proposed action may result in the modification or destruction of or inhibit access to any unique or unusual landforms on site, such as cliffs, dunes, minerals, fossils, and caves. So that answer is no. Number 3, impacts on surface water. The proposed action may affect one or more wetlands or other surface water bodies, for example, streams, rivers, ponds, or lakes. The answer to that is yes. And we have several subcategories here. The proposed action may create a new water body. The answer to that is no. The proposed action may result, these are all no, by the way. All of these I'm going to read now. The proposed action may result in an increase or decrease of over 10% or more than a 10-acre increase or decrease in the surface area of any body of water. No. The proposed action may involve dredging more than 100 cubic yards of material from a wetland or water body. No. The proposed action may involve construction within or adjoining a freshwater or tidal wetland or in the bed or banks of any other water body. And that is checked no. And that's right, Ken. You don't have anything that is going to be constructing in or adjoining a freshwater wetland. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
Just to jump in, the part 3 addendum I sent over. Oh, anything that you are kind of questioning is kind of covered in there. So, like, there is a wetland on site, but they're planning to avoid it. And
very good.
Any project that's next to it will go through its own review. The wetland will be delineated. They'll have erosion and sediment control.
Excellent.
So that's all spelled out in that part 3 addendum.
Excellent. So I don't need to go through that here. Thank you, Ryan. The proposed action may involve, wait a minute. The proposed action may create turbidity in a water body, either from upland erosion, runoff, or disturbing bottom sediments. No. Or small impact. The proposed action may include construction of one or more intakes for withdrawal of water from surface water. The answer is no. The proposed action may include construction of one or more outfalls for discharge of wastewater to surface waters. No. The proposed action may cause soil erosion or otherwise create a source of stormwater discharge that may lead to siltation or other degradation of receiving water bodies. No. The proposed action may affect the water quality of any water bodies within or downstream of the site of the proposed action. No. The proposed action may involve the application of pesticides or herbicides in or around any water body. No. The proposed action may require the construction of new or expansion of existing wastewater treatment facilities. No. Impact on groundwater. The proposed action may result in new or additional use of groundwater or may have the potential to introduce contaminants to groundwater or an aquifer, and that is checked no. So we're going to skip section 4. Impact on flooding. The proposed action may result in development on lands subject to flooding, and that is checked yes. And all 6 of these subcategories are no or small impact checked. The proposed action may result in development in a designated floodway. The proposed action may result in development within a 100-year floodplain. The proposed action may result in development within a 500-year floodplain. The proposed action may result in or require a modification of existing drainage patterns. The proposed action may change floodwater flows that contribute to flooding. And if there is a dam located on the site of the proposed action, is the dam in need of repair or upgrade? And that is checked no as well. Item 6, impact on air. The proposed action may include a state-regulated air emission source, and that is checked no, so we're going to skip this section. Impact on plants and animals. The proposed action may result in a loss of flora or fauna. That is checked yes. So we are going to go down through all of these, which are, by the way, pre-checked as no or small impact. The proposed action may cause reduction in population or loss of individuals of any threatened or endangered species as listed by New York State or the federal government that use the site or are found on, over, or near the site. The proposed action may result in the reduction or degradation of any habitat used by any rare, threatened, or endangered species as listed by New York State or the federal government. The proposed action may cause reduction in population or loss of individuals of any species of special concern or conservation need as listed by New York State or the federal government that use the site or are found on, over, or near the site. The proposed action may result in a reduction or degradation of any habitat used by any species of special concern and conservation need as listed by New York State or the federal government. The proposed action may diminish the capacity of a registered national natural landmark to support the biological community it was established to protect. The proposed action may result in the removal of or ground disturbance in any portion of a designated significant natural community. The proposed action may substantially interfere with nesting, breeding, foraging, or overwintering habitat for the predominant species that occupy or use the project site. The proposed action requires the conversion of more than 10 acres of forest, grassland, or any other regionally or locally important habitat. The proposed action, commercial, industrial, or recreational projects only, involves the use of herbicides or pesticides, and that is also checked now. And then we have Section 8, impact on agricultural resources. That's checked yes, and all the boxes in this section for these subcategories are checked no or small impact may occur. The proposed action may impact soil classified within soil group 1 through 4 of the New York State Land Classification System. The proposed action may sever, cross, or otherwise limit access to agricultural land, includes cropland, hay fields, pasture, vineyard, orchard, etc. The proposed action may result in the excavation or compaction of the soil profile of an active agricultural land. The proposed action may irreversibly convert agricultural land to non-agricultural uses, either more than 2.5 acres if located in an ag district or more than 10 acres if not within an ag district. The proposed action may disrupt or prevent installation of an agricultural land management system. The proposed action may result directly or indirectly in increased development potential or pressure on farmland. The proposed project is not consistent with the adopted municipal farmland protection program.
We're going back.
Item 9, impact on aesthetic resources. This is also checked yes. It says the land use of the proposed action are obviously different from or are in sharp contrast to current land use patterns between the proposed project and a scenic or aesthetic resource. And all of these items are checked no or small impact. Proposed action may be visible from any officially designated federal, state, or local scenic or aesthetic resource. The proposed action may result in the obstruction, elimination, or significant screening of one or more officially designated scenic views. The proposed action may be visible from publicly accessible vantage points. Seasonally, for example, screened by summer foliage but visible during other seasons, or year-round. The situation or activity in which viewers are engaged while viewing the proposed action is routine travel by residents, including travel to and from work, or 2, recreational or tourism-based activities. Item E, the proposed action may cause a diminishment of the public enjoyment and appreciation of the designated aesthetic resource. F, there are similar projects visible within the following distance of the proposed project. 0 to a half a mile, a half to 3 miles, 3 to 5 miles, or 5+ miles. Item 10, impact on historic and archaeological resources. The proposed action may occur in or adjacent to a historic or archaeological resource. That is checked no, so we're going to skip this section. Impact on open space and recreation. That's item 11. The proposed action may result in a loss of recreational activities or a reduction of an open space resource as designated in any adopted municipal open space plan. That's checked no, we're going to skip it. Impact on critical environmental areas. The proposed action may be located within or adjacent to a critical environmental area, CEA. This is checked yes. And the two items in here are pre-checked no or small impact. The proposed action may result in a reduction in the quantity of the resource or characteristic which was the basis for designation of the CEA. The proposed action may result in a reduction in the quality of the resource or characteristic which was the basis for the designation of the CEA. Those are both checked no. Impact on transportation. The proposed action may result in a change to existing transportation systems. That is checked no, so we're going to skip this section. Section 14, impact on energy. The proposed action may cause an increase in the use of any form of energy. That box is checked yes, so we're going to read further. All of these boxes in this section are checked no or small impact may occur. The proposed action will require a new or an upgrade to an existing substation. The proposed action will require the creation or extension of an energy transmission or supply system to serve more than 50 single or two-family residences or to serve a commercial or industrial use. The proposed action may utilize more than 2,500 is that megawatt hours per year of electricity, perhaps?
Yes.
The proposed action may involve heating and or cooling of more than 100,000 square feet of building area when completed. And like I said before, all those are checked no or minimal impact. Section 15, impact on noise, odor, and light. The proposed action may result in an increase in noise, odors, or outdoor lighting. That is checked yes, so we're going to go through the section. All of these subcategories here are checked no or small impact may occur. A, the proposed action may produce sound above noise levels established by local regulation. The proposed action may result in blasting within 1,500 feet of any residence, hospital, school, licensed daycare center, or nursing home. The proposed action may result in routine odors for more than 1 hour per day. The proposed action may result in light shining into adjacent adjoining properties. The proposed action may result in lighting creating sky glow brighter than existing area conditions. All those, again, are checked no. Impact on human health, Section 16. The proposed action may have an impact on human health from exposure to new or existing sources of contaminants. This is checked no. And so we're going to skip this section. Section 17, consistency with community plans. The proposed action is not consistent with adopted land use plans. That box is checked no. We're going to skip this section. And last but not least, consistency with community character. Section 18, the proposed project is inconsistent with the existing community character. That box is checked no, so we're going to skip it. And that completes the review of part 2.
So Ryan, explain to us how the typed information that you gave, the addendum, fits into that. Where does that attach to that you just reviewed?
So that would attach to the part 3, which is your evaluation of magnitude and determination of significance. So any question that was checked yes on the part 2, that typed up information in the addendum goes into a little more detail. For some of them, no or small impact means no. Like for dredging, there's no dredging proposed at all in this master plan. So that's just a flat no. For some of them, no or small impact means small impact. Like the question about erosion or siltation, that has potential to be an impact, but it's assumed that projects will be designed with
mitigation measures
if necessary, or the proper erosion control practices. So that's explained in the addendum.
All right, so that's going to be made a part of the official record of tonight's proceedings. So what's our next step, Brian?
So the next step would be the part 3 form.
Do you have that, Jim?
Yep.
As long as the board is in agreement with everything Jim just read, or if you want to look into anything further on the addendum, then you can go through. It would be a type 1 action. Part 1, 2, and 3 have been filled out, so I checked that portion for you.
Okay.
Then you have to go through the second page there. I typed in the additional information that you received. So there was a letter of no effect from SHPO. There was that email correspondence from DEC, which was taken into account. And then the part 1 that the applicant submitted. To my knowledge, no other comments were received during the coordinated review.
Okay, so then we should, we're going to check box A then, is that correct?
If the board is in agreement with that, then yes.
Did we have to, Ryan, first review this addendum, or you talked about that earlier? Part 3 addendum? Or that's just discussing the part 2 possible impacts.
Yep. So that goes into more depth on anything.
Good. I was just going in order here.
Yep.
Okay. So,
Sorry.
So who checks this box A? Tom?
I can do so. Well, how does the resolution fit in, Ryan?
So, if you check box A, this is the negative declaration, and then you have the resolution that the town will adopt and send out to everyone that was involved in the coordinated review.
Okay.
Great. Do we need to read this resolution out loud?
Let's do part 3 first.
Okay.
Do we have a motion to check box A on part 3, which reads, this project will result in no significant adverse impacts on the environment, and therefore an environmental impact statement need not be prepared. Accordingly, this negative declaration is issued. Do we have a motion?
So moved to check box A.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
So I'm going to sign this, and I will scan it to you, Molly.
Tom, can you please send a copy to us as well, if you would?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'll look forward to getting it.
Okay.
Tom, can I interrupt and ask a learning question?
Sure.
When Jim was reading that long thing he read, towards maybe the second to last or the third to last section had something in it about noise ordinance or noise
above normal levels, or in violation of code.
In violation of code, and I'm just curious because I thought we don't have a noise code in Stanfordville.
There is one for commercial.
But this is a school, so
It's essentially, Wendy, we would check that because there is a potential to, during a limited period of time during construction, typically you would have an impact to noise levels beyond the normal school level noise levels.
I see. So it has nothing.
That's why we would check.
It has nothing to do with Stanford having a noise.
No.
Code.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt.
The only other reason there too would be if there's reason to believe that any of the projects on the master plan might cause new sources of light.
Correct.
You would just want to look at that before approving that individual project.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, so let's go to the resolution next.
Okay, what do we need to do with this resolution, Ryan?
Tom, do you want to have it read?
Yes, let's read it.
All right, who wants to read it? Me?
You're the guy.
Oh, yeah. This one's only a 2-pager. It's nothing to it. This is a resolution establishing the Town of Stanford Planning Board as lead agency in determining that the Millbrook School Master Plan Amendment Phase 3 is a Type 1 action and will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment. Paragraph 1, whereas the Town of Stanford Planning Board, hereby known as the Planning Board, has received an application from the Millbrook School applicant for the approval of their Master Plan Amendment Phase 3 project located in the Town of Stanford, Dutchess County, New York. And whereas pursuant to Article 8 of the Environmental Conservation Law as amended the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, otherwise known as SECRA, and the implementing regulations at Title 6 NYCRR Part 617, the regulations, the Planning Board desires to comply with the SECRA and the regulations with respect to the project. And whereas on April 29th, 2020, the Planning Board passed a resolution to declare their intent to be the SECRA lead agency for the project and reviewed Part 1 of the full environmental assessment form prepared by the applicant relative to the proposed project. Okay. Whereas the Planning Board approved the Part 1 full EAF and requested it be sent to other potentially involved agencies and interested agencies as these quoted terms are defined in the regulations, including the Town of Stanford Planning Board's desire to serve as lead agency as this quoted term is defined in the regulations, and to initiate a coordinated review of the project under SECRET. And whereas more than 30 days have elapsed and each of the involved agencies or potentially involved agencies has agreed to or raised no objections to the Planning Board serving as lead agency. And whereas pursuant to the regulations, the Planning Board has considered the significance of the potential environmental impacts of the project by A, using the criteria specified in section 617.7 of the regulations, and B, examining the full EAF for the project, including the facts and conclusions on parts 1, 2, and 3 of the full EAF, together with other available supporting information to identify the relevant areas of environmental concern, and C, thoroughly analyzing the areas of relevant environmental concern to determine whether the Millbrook School Master Plan Amendment Phase 3 will have a significant effect on the environment. And whereas the Planning Board has determined that the proposed project will not have a significant effect on the environment and will not cause a significant impact on the environment, and therefore the preparation of an environmental impact statement is not required. Now, therefore, let it be resolved pursuant to and in accordance with the coordinated review requirements of SECRA that the Town of Stanford Planning Board hereby establishes itself as lead agency for the project. And be it further resolved that based upon an examination of the full EAF and other available supporting information and the criteria set forth in Title 6 NYCRR Part 617, and considering both the magnitude and importance of each relevant area of environmental concern, and based further upon the Planning Board's knowledge of the area surrounding the project and such further investigations of the project and its potential environmental impact as the Planning Board has deemed appropriate, the Planning Board makes the following findings and determinations. A, the project constitutes a Type 1 action, as quoted term is defined in the regulations, and the Planning Board has conducted a coordinated review. B, the project will not result in any significant adverse environmental impacts and will not require the preparation of an environmental impact statement. Be it further resolved that as a consequence of such findings and determinations and in compliance with the requirements of SECRA and the regulations, the Planning Board directs the Planning Board chairperson to prepare a negative declaration in accordance with Title 6 NYCRR Section 617.12 and file a copy of the negative declaration in the project's file at the Town Hall in accordance with the regulations. And be it further resolved that all subsequent notices and references concerning this project and SECRA review shall note that the Planning Board has issued a negative declaration. And be it further resolved that this resolution shall take effect immediately. The question of the adoption of the foregoing resolution is being duly put to a vote.
All right, Molly, call the roll, please.
And the vote is as follows.
You're muted.
Okay. James Faust,
Aye.
Thomas Angel,
Aye.
John Van Leuven,
Aye.
Chris Flynn,
Aye.
Patrick Hancock.
Aye.
All right, so the motion's been adopted and will become part of our records. And Molly, you'll take care of that. And now we need a motion on the final action of approving the Millbrook School Master Plan.
So I move that we approve the Millbrook School Master Plan Phase 3.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on the motion?
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
I just want to jump in. Whenever you write up the final approval, you might want to include a condition that each successive project will go through its own site plan, special use permit process, and necessary secret review.
Are you going to amend your motion to reflect that, Jim?
I certainly will.
And Chris, do you accept that amendment?
Yes.
All right. Given that that motion's been amended, any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Passed unanimously. Congratulations to Millbrook School.
Thank you, everyone.
Is everybody awake after that?
Jim, you were marvelous.
I have 14 more pages for you, Tim. You're good.
Yeah, okay, good.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Appreciate your help.
Okay, thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is Kirk Horton, lot line change. Transfer of lot of 6.55 acres from Travel to Samuels and Katz. So, Kirk Horton, you're up.
Hello, can you hear me?
We can.
Yes.
Oh, great.
Hey, Kirk. Long time no
Hi.
see.
Hey, Pat. The Tavels own 2 properties on Stissing Road that are classified as one tax parcel. 42 acres on the north side of Stissing Road and 6.5 acres on the south side of Stissing Road. The neighbor adjoining the 6.5 acres on the south, Samuels and Katz, want to buy that 6.5 acres and attach it to their other property. They have 24 acres. This would give them like 31 acres. The property's already developed. They have a house and some horses and some barns on there. They have no plans to do anything with the 6.5 acres. It's just going to be merged with their other property.
Hey, Kirk. Sorry to interrupt you. I do have this site plan if you want me to pull it up for everyone to see. I don't know if that would be helpful.
Sure.
Can everyone see that?
No. Oh, yes.
Oh, there we go.
All right. So, can you outline, Ryan, what Kirk was just referring to?
Possibly. Kirk, if you want to tell me where to point.
Well, you have the 6.5 acres, which is just below Stissing Road. That belongs to Tavel on the north side of the road as one tax parcel, but it's cut off by Stissing Road. So it's I don't know, it doesn't belong that way. And the Samuels, they own the property to the south, and they want to pick up that 6.5 acres and add it to the rest of their farm there.
Is there anything on that 6.5 acres right now, or it's just vacant?
On the 6.5 acres, no, it's vacant land, just some trees and some grass.
Okay.
The Samuels, they mow it now.
Okay, so right now it's just a field or a pasture?
Yeah, not really a hayfield. It's just like there's trees on it and lawn.
Okay. This is just off 82 and just below, just south of the wildlife sanctuary.
This is it's just below. If you remember the Beckwiths, this was Mrs. Beckwith's house on Sissing Road.
Okay. Looks like it's like, was it by the Haight Tree Farm at all or no?
They might be south of that. I don't know.
Okay. It's somewhere nearby here. But at any rate, it's needless to say, on this 6.5 acres, there's no approved plans for any water supply, sewage disposal system for anything. It's just vacant land.
Right.
Okay.
And it's going to be merged with their other property.
Yep, and that's going to be merged. I don't see a problem with this.
No, I got no problem with it.
All right. Do we have a motion to classify the application?
I move to classify this as a lot line alteration, minor subdivision.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Is there a motion to schedule a public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
So the public hearing would be for July 29th at 7:30 p.m. Any further discussion on the motion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Aye.
So Kirk, you're going to have to notice the hearing.
Yep.
And we should be able to give you approval the next meeting.
Great.
Could you make that just a little bigger so that the area map in the upper right gets a little bigger? I'm just trying to get my bearings a little more. I think I know where it is. But
It's Sissing Road. If you remember the Beckwiths,
and the
it's
bus
kind of like right in the middle
School
where
bus.
Mrs. Beckwith had the old house there.
Okay, yeah, I see where it is now. Okay.
Yeah, this is fine.
Yep. Thank you.
I mean, I'm going back a ways, I guess.
All right. Thank you, Kirk.
All right.
So our next item on the agenda is Kirk, you have a second item on the agenda here?
Yeah. The lot line change.
Ryan, can you put that up on the screen?
Yep, just going to grab it. Everybody got it?
Oh.
This is a lot line change between two lots on the Bull's Head Farm subdivision off of Bull's Head Road, Shelley Hill Road, Market Lane.
What's the background here? It's quite an interesting piece of land.
This used to be
This is the old Stats Farm, if you remember the Stats Farm, dairy farm. This is that farm.
How did there get to be a little tiny 0.007 acre piece by itself?
That's what's being transferred. Just 300 square feet. That's the whole thing.
What's that about?
I think he wants to put up some pillars, sort of like a gateway to his property. And he wants it outside the stone wall hedgerow there. So
interesting.
All right, so it's going to be merged into the other lot.
Yes, it's going from lot 16 to lot 15.
Okay.
Wow.
Any further questions on this application?
No.
Do we have a motion to classify this application?
This is a boundary line change, minor subdivision.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Do we have a motion to schedule a public hearing?
So moved.
Do we
Second.
have a second?
So Kirk, on this
Wait,
little
wait.
property here,
Wait,
Is there anything on it?
What's that?
Right now, there's nothing on it, right? There's not a well or anything. Right?
Yes,
It's just a piece
yes,
of
there
property.
are houses on both 15 and 16, but I didn't want to go through all the expense of locating everything for, this small little transfer. I didn't think it was necessary.
Okay.
Do we have a second on the motion?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? So the hearing will be scheduled for July 29th at 7:30 p.m. All in favor, say aye.
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 I kind of stepped on that motion. Sorry.
All right. Anything further, Kirk?
There is a conservation easement on the whole subdivision, but since both lots are already in the conservation, subject to the conservation easement, you're just transferring a line from one to the other really is immaterial. We're going to get a letter from the DLC saying that they don't have a problem with this transfer.
Okay. We're not going to get into some sort of a problem with no further subdivision or anything, are we?
I don't see why, no.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Kirk.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
So our next item on the agenda is Jaden Fuller.
Hi, this is Greg Ludwig. I'm taking the lead on this one. I'm with Branded Image Group. We represent GRJH, the owner of this gas station, the Gulf Oil, and we represent Gulf Oil nationwide. So the idea here is we're looking to re-image this gas station. No real construction. It's all just image and face replacements to bring it up to the new national standards for Gulf Oil. And we want to go through each item real quickly and just make sure everybody's on the same page of what we're asking for. But I don't know if you want to bring it up or do you want me to bring it up for everybody?
You can go ahead and do it if you'd like.
Can everybody see it?
Yes.
Okay, very good. So basically, this gas station has the old image on it. We're wanting to look at each individual item. The first item is the canopy itself. We would re-image the fascia of the canopy. No real structure changes at all. But they were asking to put 2 Gulf logos and the Gulf word mark on the front of the canopy. The rest of it is vinyl and painting. It's a good looking image. It does have an illuminated bar around it, around the 3 sides, which is a standard nationwide for this canopy.
Well, yeah, Arthur. Okay, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Go ahead. Do you have a question?
Yeah, well, I'm concerned about the all sides illuminated here. Is it currently illuminated in that fashion?
It is currently not. Most of the major brands now have an illuminated bar. The Valero, the Shell, ExxonMobil all have illuminated, but it is a down lighting illumination. It's not like an outward glow.
Is it not like a neon light that goes all the way around it?
No, it's not neon, no means. It is a soft LED light, but it's in a trough and shines down.
Is it inside the actual shell, the actual...
it runs right along the cross top of this fascia, of the orange section only. So there's a little trough up above and the lights shine down and it basically just lights up the orange color with a glow.
Do you have any pictures of canopies that currently have this lighting?
I do not with me, but I can get them and forward them to the team.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you proposing any changes to the lights underneath the canopy?
The lights underneath the canopy on this one is they would like to go to LEDs if possible.
Okay. And I'd like to see those go flush if possible.
Okay. That's not an issue at all.
Because there was a change made without planning board approval to this canopy.
Right.
Whereby they went and put the protruding lights on, and that caused a lot of off-site glare and road glare. So
Yes,
that's
sir.
why they put up those aluminum shields on there.
Right. Right.
It's just a cobble pond.
It is, yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry to have hijacked everything there.
It's not a problem to do the flush mounted at all, and we can definitely take care of that. But again, it does have 2 logos. If you'll see up here in the top left-hand corner, 2 logos in the Gulf wordmark. The rest of it is merely painting. A little bit about the Gulf letters. They're actually recessed letters into it. It's kind of a nice flush mount system. It's a very good look. It's very clean and pretty modern. These are the canopy logos themselves that would be on each end. So it does have a little bit of a bubble out to it, but it matches with the fascia. So it's kind of a flat system.
Would these lights be on 24/7?
No, they only come on when it's dusk. And again, it's made mostly just to light the orange image.
But I mean, they'll be on all night long.
They would
the place is closed.
As long as the store's open. At nighttime, they'll shut off the sign and that.
Okay.
So yes, only when the store's open.
Okay.
Do we have language to that effect?
Yeah, we can submit whatever you need. Not a problem at all. That it has to be turned off at night. No issue at all for us. Or when the store's not open. So, that's the canopy. The building, they're wanting to install a sign on the building. It's basically a Gulf Express illuminated sign. There's nothing on this building currently, but these lights that shine directly out. So they wanted to be able to give their store a name, which is the Gulf Express name. Pardon me?
Those lights that are on the building are also particularly garish. Is there anything you can do to those to either have those point further down, or are they just area lights that are going to have to stay like that?
They are area lights, and they are angled down towards the canopy to help give people safe passage from the gas pumps.
Yep. I mean, that would make sense. I was just wondering if there was something else that could be done. It's kind of like just, bright and shining on you when you're walking into there. It's kind of like you're
right. We could definitely look at changing them out to something more direct light down.
Yeah, Jim, there's a building over on the Hudson River. Actually, it's the community boathouse over there. In an effort to not be too bright as viewed from the river, they have these light fixtures that are, I want to say they're kind of tubular. So the lights actually, it shines down onto the pavement and concrete in front of the building, but it doesn't shine out toward the river. And so it really decreases the amount of excess light in the area. I think is that what you're aiming for?
Right.
Anything that just doesn't shine out in your face type of thing. So we can definitely do that. We're only looking at 3 fixtures here, so
right.
I'm sure that's not an issue. And
I think those were added after there was maybe a break-in or so there, and
exactly.
Those were added like as security lights, I think.
Right. And they were worried about people coming from the pumps to the building and their security and things too after that. So, but it is not a very attractive light, but I'm sure we can do something with that and bring a down lighting or gooseneck or something to make it more down straight instead of out.
And this light on the building also goes off when the store closes?
Yes. Yeah, we'll make sure it goes off also. The dispensers, basically dispensers are standard reimage with a valance and doors. We will redo all the dispensers to make them look new again. So, they'll be freshly, all the vinyl decals, all the plastic decals, everything will be redone on them. But it's a standard dispenser.
Are you replacing the pumps at all?
They're not replacing the pumps on this round. They are fairly new dispensers.
Yeah.
But everything on it will look brand new. So there's really nothing that's going to look old. They'll be completely cleaned up, but all the black areas get new black. It's a plastic vinyl that goes on because it's very durable. All the ID labels get changed. We get rid of a lot of the excess decals and they minimize them now, which makes it nice.
How long ago did they replace the storage tanks? It wasn't that long ago. I remember they had a big pile of contaminated dirt sitting there for quite a spell.
Yeah.
Now, the diesel pump doesn't have a credit card reader on it. Are you thinking about changing that or not?
As of right now, they have not made plans to do that, but I can find out.
That sounds like a personal experience has occurred there.
Yeah, it's a pretty good expense to change over and add that credit card system to it. It is a new dispenser, which really shocks me. The age of the dispenser that it doesn't have it. So Gulf usually requires it, but this particular one, they're not showing it to have it. So I can't swear to they will or won't.
Are you proposing any new lighting to these pump surrounds or the pumps themselves?
No, the dispenser.
Okay, so that Gulf sign that's above there, is that?
It's just metal.
Okay.
Yes, sir. It's an aluminum metal cabinet, and there really is a good looking sign. And we do all brands. And it's a really good looking image. I have to give them credit for what they've done. And then the pylon sign. So basically, we're going to reface the sign itself. They are asking for LED pricers, which I know that's been a tough over the years, but things have changed. I know LEDs and the town hall has always been against LEDs because of they think it's a distraction to drivers. But these don't change. They're not something that are going to be constantly revolving or changing numbers or a message or anything like that. They're actually dimmable, so they're not right in your face bright. And they're actually, most towns are finding out they're actually safer because you can read the price when you go by instead of having to stare at it and try to really read something when you're driving down the road. So they are.
So at this point, the existing sign on the left,
Yes,
the entire sign is, well, not the Cobble Pond Farms, but the upper and lower is illuminated right now, correct?
Correct.
And then in the proposed sign on the right, which that sign on the left, by the way, is illegal anyway because they went and hammered that in there. You can see where the old sign was, and they hammered that new one in without any approvals.
Oh wow! Okay.
And nothing ever came of it.
Wow.
Now, over here, the lower part would be the LEDs would be the only thing that's illuminated, or is also the wording and everything else, or is the whole
wording? The wording has to be illuminated by state law.
What does? I'm sorry.
The wording, the products has to be illuminated by law. It's the weights and measures thing that is required. So, but that is the only thing that lights on that. So you will see at night, you'll be able to read the word and you'll be able to see the number.
Is the sign getting larger?
No, it's actually a reface. So none of the metal structure is changing. We're just taking out the plastic faces and redoing what's there.
Okay.
So there's really no heavy construction or
same metal uprights, same footings.
Yes, same everything. We're not doing anything else to it.
Is the intensity of the light of the sign changing?
No. Nope. And again, everything's adjustable on them. So if you do have something that's bright, we can turn it down. So that's not an issue.
Will this sign stay illuminated all night?
No. We'll make that a requirement that when the store's closed, that all the lights and signage go off on them.
Including the gasoline prices?
Yes. I mean, there's no sense in people.
Well, with the pumps, I think even when places close, like the pump LEDs stay on,
If you can still get gas, then that should stay on. But if
right.
you cannot
sure. That makes
cannot pump gas, we can require that it goes off every night.
Yep.
So not a problem. And we can give that back to you in writing or whatever. So
now I'm not sure how the board wants to address the fact that I believe our sign ordinance doesn't allow freestanding internally illuminated signs. Now this is replacing a sign that's there, but the sign that's there didn't get approval either.
So let's just back up a minute. I'm looking at the zoning code, and it's section 164-17. And I'm a little confused as to the role of the planning board in this application, because it appears to me on paragraph C that the application is to go to the building inspector. So how did this application end up in front of the planning board?
We just submitted it in, straight to the town there, but we didn't get to drive with COVID. It's kind of hard to get anybody to address it. So we just sent it in like a normal application.
That's interesting, Tom.
Ryan, do you have any input on this?
I'm sorry?
Ryan, do you have any input on this?
I'll have to take a look at the code. Has the planning board dealt with anything like this in the past when it comes to rebranding?
Prior application from the same gas station several years back, but it was subsequently withdrawn.
Yeah, we do. We have reviewed signs.
But under what provision?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But I know we've been involved in sign approvals that say things like the library or village center or.
When it's part of a site plan approval, we are.
Yep.
Greg, what exactly is the approval that you guys are looking for?
Signage approval. So everything else is all painting and decorative stuff. So we're after a sign permit for the ID sign, the canopy, and the building. And again, we want to make sure that we're doing what the town needs to be a good partner and a good community provider.
Well, we appreciate that.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This came before us because Don Smith said that it should go through the planning board. He gave it to me saying he just said that we would be the ones who would go through it. He would not be the one.
Well, there you go.
Unless they're making a site plan application, I don't see our authority to do it.
I guess I would think we would have to talk with Don Smith.
Well, wouldn't the modification of the signs alter the special use permit or anything? Probably.
I don't know what they've gotten in the past.
Hey, Tom.
Yes.
I've got section 164.33 here.
Okay.
Planning board review. Planning board's review of a site plan, so I'm not sure how applicable it is, shall include as appropriate, but is not limited to. Number 4 is location, arrangement, size, design, and general site compatibility of principal and accessory buildings, lighting, and signage.
Right. So that's when we're presented with a site plan.
Right.
Well, I wonder if this is a modification of the site plan.
If it is, then we need to see what the original site plan was.
I mean, that's how I think our, if somebody gets a site plan approval and then they change something in there, I think that'd probably have to be reviewed again.
So has the applicant actually filed any sort of application, Molly? I know we got the material, but was any application been filed?
That is the only material that we have received from them. They have not done any application.
The only thing we have is a signed permit application under section 4-17 of the town code.
That is correct. That's what they came to us with.
The only approver in 164.17 is the building inspector. So this isn't really the applicant's fault here, but if they're seeking planning board approval, then I think it would have to be a modification of a site plan.
I think that makes sense. Ryan, does that make sense?
It does make sense. The only other thing I could think is if the building inspector is the one that approves a signage permit and they don't feel comfortable, they could refer it to you guys.
Under the problem is under what authority?
I suppose it would have to be some sort of site plan amendment.
Right. So I think what the applicant needs to do is to research the existing site plan approval or that's been approved in the past, and then be back in touch with us with a requested amendment to that site plan.
Okay.
I think there's some issues that have to be addressed. I think there's an issue regarding how close the sign is to the road.
Okay.
And I think there's also an issue with respect to the internal illumination of signs, which is not permitted under the code.
Okay.
So, I'm happy to listen to any feedback the applicant has on this.
Yeah, I mean, we'll do whatever we need to do, of course. We do have several towns that will not let us illuminate internally, and we can definitely fix that issue with gooseneck lighting or some kind of ground lighting that just glows up at it for the off hours.
Sure.
So that's not an issue at all, and we can make that happen. The setback is a major thing. If we had to change that, we're talking, another $8,000 or $10,000 to move it. And
so you can see where the other sign was there,
right? And
then they, I think it was a monopole, if that's the correct term.
Right. Yeah. Single
and
pole.
And then they went and put these in. Now, perhaps this is a second generation of the dual pole. I don't know, but I think Tom's right. We should probably do a little research on this, find out what the history is on this. And if it's the case where you're going to decide to go with an externally illuminated sign, obviously the lighting from the top down is a much preferred option rather than shining up from the ground. Okay, we got a house with a property right next door.
Okay.
And also that will tend to give us a little more dark sky situation there as opposed to shining up into the air.
Correct.
Well,
No problem with that.
The code indicates that a freestanding sign shall not exceed 10 feet in height. And it looks like you got 20 feet in height there.
Right. And what was that code? Can I ask when that code was enforced? I mean, is there a grandfathered law or anything like that?
Well, I think what Jim was indicating was that the previous sign was never approved by the
sign. Oh, wow.
So I'm not sure of the exact history, but I know that when this was done, it didn't come through the planning board, and I think I was on it.
and the other thing is, it can't be located closer than 20 feet to any property line. So the property line, you're probably on the property line there.
Yeah, I don't know where else we would be able to go with it actually going.
You might need to do a variance for that or something.
There's no other place. I mean, it's either the left side property line or the right side. There's no other place to put it safely.
So I think just for your sake, I think you need to do a little research, find out what site plan approval was gotten by this applicant in the past.
Okay.
And make a application to amend the previously granted site plan, and then for anything that's you want to do that's at variance with the zoning code, we have limited ability to grant variances.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's going to have to be researched as well.
Okay.
And they could go to the ZBA for something like that, right, Tom?
Possibly, yeah. We'd have to look at it.
Yeah. So I think let's get a good history on this and find out what originally was there. But I think we'll find out that a lot of this was done without coming through us or getting any approvals.
Understood. Can we have an appointment to come back and to review this again? Or
Yes,
Sure.
July 29th is our next meeting.
And when you come back for your next meeting, please bring some examples of,
I
say,
will.
the gooseneck lighting and
Yes, sir.
other things that you think would be appropriate for here.
I'll be well prepared for it and know exactly what we need now.
That'd be great.
Just so you're aware, we're not opposed to dressing up this gas station.
No, I understand. And it really is a nice image, I have to say.
This is quaint. It's quaint, Tom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And we don't want to discourage you.
no worries. I will. I'll be well prepared and get it back to you, and look forward to it.
Appreciate that. Appreciate that attitude.
No
Thank
worries.
you.
I appreciate you guys taking the time. Thank you very much, people.
Okay.
Appreciate
I
it.
am also going to send you on Tuesday by mail the application process for the site plan so that you know more of the.
Yeah.
how-
Molly, you might also want to do a little research and send them whatever, or tell them the availability of whatever files we have on this property.
Correct. That's what I'm going to do.
Okay.
That'd be awesome. Awesome. Thank you folks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, you take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Next up is Wendy DeWolf.
Wendy.
Evening. It's good to be back in front of you guys and see your faces. It's been a while.
Whoops. You're breaking up.
This evening, we're just looking for. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're there.
According to the zoning code, our site plan approval, which you guys issued, you approved in December and issued in January, expires after 6 months. And due to COVID, we weren't able to start construction on the schedule we expected. And so we're hoping to pull our building permit next month. But since that will be greater than 6 months, according to the code, we are requesting an extension for our site plan approval.
Okay.
So there's no changes, Wendy, to what you proposed. So
what's the current status of construction in there?
Hopefully we will start, if everything goes smoothly right now, we'll be out on the site. We'll pull the building permit in July or early August and start out on the site in August.
And what's your window, do you think, for construction then? Is it a 6 month window? Is it a year? What do you think?
No, it's approximately 6 months, which elongates this, right, as first the mine has to be reclaimed. So that's part one. So that'll extend construction a little bit. But typically on a very clean site, these projects take 2 or 3 months to construct. And your longest lead time is just waiting for the utility to be ready to connect you to the grid.
Good.
So if you could just update a little bit the board, because Patrick Hancock, our new member, was not on the board at the time that we gave you approval last time.
Sure. Again, there's no plan changes to the site plan that you've seen, but we're building a 5 megawatt solar facility, community solar facility on the property right next to the town hall on the former Irish Hills mine. And so it's all kind of set back from the road. Will be screened from the neighboring properties and will be the use for the site going forward.
So, Wendy, I spoke to the town attorney today, Robert Butts, about your request. And as you recall, when we initially approved it, we had the question as to what approval process the planning board had versus the town board.
Right.
I know you appeared before both of us. And under section 80 point 80-6, it says that applications for the installation of a large-scale solar energy system shall be reviewed by the building inspector, code enforcement officer, and referred with comments to the town board for its review and action, which include approval and conditions and denial. So my understanding is that the town board had requested that we review your application and send our recommendations to them, and that they were the approving authority.
Correct.
So it is a little confusing because that same section also talks about the town planning board as giving site plan approval to the project. So we had the town supervisor at the meeting tonight, and I just want to clarify with her as to whether or not she's agreeing that the town planning board versus the town board should grant your application.
Can I add a couple qualifications, Wendy, before you respond here? Okay, so to start with, so what ended up being issued in paperwork form is we got a site plan approval from the planning board and a special use permit approval from the town board. And so it was a special use permit, a site plan approval with recommendations, right, for a special use permit approval that was given by the town board. So according to your code, our special use permit doesn't expire, but our site plan approval expires, which is why we're coming back to this board, because you're the board who issued the site plan approval.
So again, Wendy, you okay with us going forward with handling this tonight?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So given that, does anyone wish to make a motion to extend our site plan approval for this project another 6 months?
And do we have a date that would expire? Would it be just from today's date, or would it be 6 months after the expiration coming up in July?
I would say 6 months from the end of July or whenever it goes.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, correct.
So January 8th, 2021.
Okay, so I make that motion to extend the approval for the site plan until whatever date Wendy just said, January
8th, 2021, which is when our initial site plan approval letter was filed, was signed off and then filed with the town clerk.
So I make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Well, thank you, and looking forward to getting this into construction soon, and hopefully we'll get you guys out there to see it.
Okay, great.
Great.
Good luck,
Wendy.
Wendy.
Everyone.
Wendy.
Thank you.
See ya.
All right, bye. So last but not least, Lyndon Chase.
We've still got
We have Houston too.
Yep.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Brain.
So Lyndon, you're muted.
There we go.
All right, so why don't you review for us where we are, Lyndon?
Well, it was, it's just that little 7/10 of an acre that the neighbors want to give to the other neighbors, so that the propane tank and the pool enclosure, not the pool, but where you have the filters and that, aren't over the line anymore. And the true line was only a foot from the house. Now it's over 50 feet from the house. Then we had 7 acres and 150 acres, and the 150 is going to give to the 7 acres, 7.5, but 2,700s, 2,900s.
So it's a 0.29 acre transfer, is that correct?
Yes.
What is this called? What's the name of this?
It's called the Edward Dean Leonard Heitzman Caldwell land swap.
Did we have that in our envelope, or is it here?
We had everything to everybody.
We had in our May meeting. We discussed it. We did seeker. We scheduled a public hearing for tonight.
Oh, good.
So we're ready to approve it.
Okay.
To make a vote.
No changes since the last time?
No.
And so I trust that I reviewed it last time.
Yes.
So,
I mailed you a copy.
And it's so I'll move that we grant final approval for unfortunately I don't remember now again the name exactly.
So it's Edward Dean, Leonard, Heitzman, and Caldwell lot line adjustment.
Leonard, Heitzman, and Caldwell lot line change.
Do we have a second?
Sure. Second.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And the motion passes. So congratulations. Sorry you had to wait so long, Lyndon.
Well, that's all right.
So
now I gotta get it signed. That's my. That's
yeah. So if you want,
just lean close to the screen. Tom can get his pen.
So Lyndon, if you want, you can either come by my house or you can bring it to Poughkeepsie to my office, whichever works better for you.
And you're in the offices.
I'd be in the office tomorrow.
Oh, I'm not coming tomorrow. It's too hot tomorrow.
All right. Then next week I'll be home.
Oh, okay. And you're at the Bentley Farm?
That's it.
Where the church is, go past the church and you on the left?
I'm at the top of the hill, 1346.
Okay. 1346. Okay, so the house would be on the.
It's on the south side of the road.
Okay. Yep. All right.
And I'll give you my cell phone number.
All right. Yeah, I'll give you a call.
All right. You ready?
Yes.
705
4219. 4219. And that's a 845 area code?
Yes, Lennon.
I'm 518. Okay. All right, I'll give you a call when I'm coming, or when it works, and we'll set up when it works. Or I could leave it at the town hall if you want, and if you go there at all.
And then I don't really go there.
Oh, okay. All right. But you will be in your office tomorrow, too.
If you want to come to Poughkeepsie tomorrow, I'll be there.
I maybe get the health department to sign it, too. Yeah,
or Friday, too, if you want to come Friday.
Oh, I was thinking tomorrow was Friday. Okay.
It's the meeting's gone long enough that it might be.
Yeah. And you work for the DA, right, with Frank?
No.
No. He works for the other side.
I'm at 45 Market Street.
You're 45?
Yeah. Frank's on Main Street. Okay. I'm on 45 Market.
All right. So you defend them?
I do.
And he prosecutes them?
That's it.
All right. Okay. Can I give you a call there if I
Sure. I have my cell phone either place.
All right. Use that phone number right there. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Brian's up.
All right, Brian. Sorry to keep you to last.
Yeah, that's fine. And
that was the plan. It worked.
I got a technical issue. I just lost everybody on my screen. Isn't that crazy? I can see.
Is there a little movie camera at the bottom?
Nah.
Or a little grid thing?
Yeah, what I did was I minimized the screen and I can't get it back up.
What happens if you just move the mouse down there? Does it appear?
Jim, I see. Whoever's talking, I see.
Oh, okay. Do you see a little thing that says gallery view or a bunch of little dots in the top right?
Or speaker view, maybe?
Yeah.
Oh, this is unbelievable. I knew I shouldn't have touched it.
I can see you, Brian.
I should bring my daughter in here. She'll get it fixed.
All right. I'm not sure what I'm going to do here.
If you want, Brian, you can leave and then hop back in.
Okay. Let me do that real quick.
Okay.
Take 2 secs. Okay.
So while Brian's doing that, we have minutes from our April 29th meeting and our May 27th meeting to approve. I've sent out both.
Yeah, I looked at one of them, but I don't think the other one. Whoops.
Are you doing minutes or do you want to do a lot of land?
We can do you if you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm back up.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. So since the last meeting, I've revised the map, and just to give the 2-second what we're doing here. It's property out on 655 Bangle Road. You got one lot that has an existing house. It's lot B. It's 5 acres of land. The adjoining parcel, lot A, is 24, and a little bit more than 24 acres of land. And what we're looking to do is an equal area swap of land, conveying 2.24 acres from each of the parcels and shifting the interior boundary lines around. As we discussed at the last meeting, the vacant parcel lot A, it had an existing building envelope on it. We are proposing to expand on that building envelope. So that is what I showed, and let me see if I can share my screen here and pull that up. That's not the one. Okay. There we go. Oh, how about we just do that? There we go. Can everybody see that?
Nope.
Yeah.
Nope.
Okay. This worked out so well last time.
Oh, there we go.
How about now?
It's coming. There it is.
There we go. Oh, yeah.
Okay, great. So, going back to my spiel, the green line that you see there, that's the existing lot B. And after we add on 2.24, if you can see where my cursor is, that'll be merged into lot B, and then the vacant lot A would pick up this section over in here. So the acreage of the properties don't change. There's an existing building envelope over in the left-hand side here on lot A. We are proposing to expand that, and what we use for the boundaries of that is the setback lines, the side and the rear yards. So what I did was I designated, as per your request at the last meeting, the primary building envelope is number 1, and that's where a primary residence can be built. Subsequent to that, in the rear of the property is a second building envelope, which has limitations to it. It's under the DLC conservation easement, so there's only certain types of buildings that can be built in this area, and so we call that new building envelope number 2. And it says right above it that this is subject to the DLC easement. Also on the side over here in the notes, which I may or may not be able to get over that far. The note, I'll just have to read it to you. I put a note on the plan saying that the building envelope for number 2 is subject to the Dutchess Land Conservancy easement. Now, Tom, you alluded earlier on, we got a letter. I got it today. You got it today. It came from DLC, and they have. You read it during the public hearing. So they've asked for some notes to be added onto here to clearly stipulate that it's subject to limited building, and they suggested, I guess, 4 notes, and we just got this today. So what I'm hoping that the board will agree to is one of the reasons why we left the public hearing open out is let us work with DLC. We'll come up with some final language, and if we work with them and they agree to it and write a letter to the board, would the board just agree to that?
I'm sure whatever you work out with them will be agreeable with us.
Okay, that's number 1. And number 2, the other reason I asked to have the public hearing left open. So the original building envelope that we talked about last time, and that was shown on that map, it was on the left-hand side of the vacant lot A. The origin of that has come about that the planning board did not put that on that to begin with. There is a private restriction. That's where that building envelope started. And it's for the benefit of Mr. Mills across the street now. originally the Corderos owned that piece of property, and when they sold it to a subsequent owner, they are the ones that created that building envelope. So our clients are in conversation with Mr. Mills to eliminate the restriction so we can show the building envelope as I do tonight, or B, modify it, make it smaller. It will never be any bigger than what's shown right now. So my clients have been in contact. They met with Mr. Mills again today, and he's considering options. So we need to work through these issues. So that's why I requested to keep the public hearing.
So we'll wait for you to finalize your plan and then move forward with it when it's ready.
Yeah. So I guess like the house, I mean, as far as the lot line change and the positioning of the proposed lot lines, I think everybody's comfortable with that. We don't have to.
We don't have any problems with it.
Okay. So when we work out our issues, we're going to be ready to go for next meeting, and we'll go from there.
Very good, Brian.
Okay. Thanks, everybody.
For next night, for July 29th.
And you're going to be there a while that night, too, because you got a lot of public hearings.
Save the best for last.
All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you next month.
Brian.
Thanks.
All right. Bye.
All right, so now the minutes. We have the minutes for the April 29th meeting, and we have the minutes for the May 27th meeting.
All right, let me just look at so we want to look at the April 1st?
Yes.
Hang on now. Like I said, I looked at one of them, but I don't. Hold on. This is already getting clogged up. When did they come through?
The April ones came in advance of the last meeting, and the May ones came maybe a week or so ago.
All right, so the other ones were in late May.
No, the May meetings were a week or so ago. The April meeting, yes, would have been middle of May.
Middle of May. Hang on. I do not see the April one in my inbox. Does somebody have that they can forward?
I'll see if I can find it.
I've got the May 27th one that I looked at.
All right, let's go over that while I try and find the other ones for you.
Okay. I didn't have a big problem with these. Just some names. My name is TS, not ST.
Where?
So you can just do a Google search and find and replace.
Where is that?
Not a Google search, a word search.
Oh, I see one.
Yeah, there's several of them in there. I think. There's one on the top of page 3 as well.
I found one on page 1.
And one on the top of page 3.
Yeah. You see those, Molly?
Yes.
Okay. Anything else?
I think the rest of it looked good. So I move to approve the minutes as amended.
Yeah. Is there a second?
Yep.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Motion approved. Okay. Now I've found them. I just sent them.
Where to send them to?
Avery.
Okay. Let's just take a look. Coming. Okay. I don't see the attachment. Sorry.
All right, let me try again. All right, send them again.
Okay.
You get them?
The thing that just came through. Let's see here. The thing that just came through was the Dutchess Land Conservancy proposed building envelope.
All right, so let's deal with the April meeting minutes at the next meeting, and we'll have hard copies and
okay.
Try and send it to you again. I'm sorry, it's
that's okay.
Manipulate the screen and with the video on at the same time.
Got it.
Okay, I've got that. So that's what I'll do, and I'll have the hard copies for you people at that meeting.
All right. So do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
All
you.
right. Thank you.
Thank you for.
Thanks, everyone.
Have a good night.
It went well.
And thank you, Ian, as well.
Okay, take care.
Bye now.